All the content contained in this webcast is for informational purposes only. The investments and strategies contained in this webcast may not be suitable for you. Please consult your own independent financial advisor before making any investment or trading decisions. Good morning, traders and investors around the world, and welcome to Monday morning's edition of premarketinfo.com, where we prepare you for the most important hour of the day, the first hour. Well, Dennis, we got a big range here in the S&Ps, 9 points overnight.
Yeah, we've been bouncing around a little bit here, Joel. Europe a little bit weak over there. I think it's putting a little bit of pressure on it, but I think you're seeing more just of a healthy pullback here.
Okay, Dennis, forgive me if some of my quotes are off this morning because I have the S&Ps trading down as well as many other stocks trading down, and Warren Buffett's on TV, so there's got to be something wrong with the quote providers.
Yeah, you'd think usually when Warren Buffett comes on CNBC, they're usually buying stocks ahead of what he might say, and he's going to be on there for 3 hours this morning, so it could be an interesting morning with what stocks that he says, so just be aware if your stock's making some funny action, it could be Warren might be talking about it.
Okay, moving on to the S&Ps. We made a high early in the overnight session at 1365. That's just below the weekly and Friday high. We hear major resistance forming up at the 1368.50 to 69.50, which has been the high of the move so far. Sold off, went down to 55 and a quarter. Really don't have any really solid support to be leaning on until the weekly low, which was 13.50 and a quarter. However, if this 55 and a quarter holds up as the low of the day, we have an upside target of 1368.75. If this 1365 holds up, we have a downside target of 1352.75. Moving on to the Big Ten here, Dennis. We did have some action in ExxonMobil on Friday. Made a new high for the week at 87.47. Interestingly, still, Dennis, and we've talked about this a lot, the stock has not been able to make a new 52-week high during this recent run-up as it did in July of this year. Trading below the close only by 9 cents, so use that close up to 87.47 is a very, very good resistance. Coming back on the downside, I got a number there at Friday's low, Dennis, but I don't think I'd want to be long if we took out this $87 level.
Yeah, the stock's had a slow climb here, Joel, over the last month, you might as well say. We were at $84, so it has participated, just not as much as some of the other issues have. But we are coming into resistance. You can see this top back here at 87.94. That would be some major resistance up there because your 52-week high is just above that at 88.13. So call that whole 88 area major resistance. But there is some preliminary resistance here starting around 87.5. Starting to see some size form in the book, 87.47. So I think, if we can get through that 87.50 area, then we might test up to that 88. But I'd still probably try, maybe to be a seller here below 87.5.
Okay, moving on, Apple Computer, who actually faked everybody out with that key reversal back from February 15th, has sneaked its way back up here into the 20 handle. 522.90, Friday's high, is going to be resistance up from the close there, 522.41. Hasn't traded above 521 in the pre-market, so use that 522.90 to 523 area as initial resistance. Above that, of course, you have the all-time high. Coming back on the downside, Dennis, I mean, this thing only had like a 6-point range on Friday, pretty unusual. I think I would head for the exits on the long side if we took out Friday's low at 518.64 and fill in that gap at 517.83.
I mean, if you analyze the action over the last 3 months, this has really been a pretty low beta stock. It's just at this slow, steady climb. Aside from that day that you highlighted there back, was it February 15th? Is that when I had the vicious spike in the reversal day? Joel? It's February
Uh,
15th, I think.
16th, I'm
16th,
sorry.
on the 16th. But besides that day, take that day and the next day out of the picture. It's this slow, steady climb, slow, steady climb. And we're probably going and retesting that 52-week high of 526.29. I'd be shocked, if we've come this far back from that, vicious sell-off where we sold off 40 points, in a matter of hours, really, trading hours, that is, over the course of 2 sessions. I'd be shocked if, we've come all the way back here and we don't give it at least a shot to take out that 52-week high of 526.29. So that's where I think it's going. Where it goes after that, who knows? I think it's going to, spike up through there, maybe a buck or two as it hits some stops, and then it's just a matter of, whether it's going to be a fake out or a breakout.
Okay, moving on to our next component, another tech stock, IBM. Was not able to get back up to that 199.23 level, which was the all-time high. Expect some good resistance up there, up to that $200 figure. Two closes in the same area, pretty rare for a $198 stock. So I'd use this 197.76 close area up to your initial resistance. Coming back on the downside down. Out Friday's low yet 196.61. If in fact we do take that, Dennis, probably going to go back down to that 194.90 area where we broke out from, and where perhaps some brave shorts are still hanging in there.
And we are a bit weaker here with the broad market selling off here this morning. Seeing some of your tech stocks overly weak. Apple has been trading down all morning. IBM trading down 60 cents right now, 197.14 after closing at 197.76. No, Warren Buffett was just talking about it on CNBC. He just mentioned that he had bought a few shares last quarter, but that had already been disclosed anyway, so I don't think that's going to really influence the stock much here. And I think you've given some good numbers. I think you might find some support here in this 195 area, but I think eventually it's going to go test that 200 area, and then it's a matter of whether it can take it out or not.
Okay, moving on to Chevron Corporation, much closer to its all-time high than ExxonMobil for some reason. Made a high on Friday at 109.40, peeled back the close at 109.08. Friday's low there, Dennis. We're trading right there, 108.50. I mean, we are opening into support. I think it's support to cover short as opposed to initiate the long, because below that 108.50 area, I really don't see a lot until. And just observing this, this stock over the past few years, what I've noticed about it is it can have a climb over like 2-3 weeks here, and then boom, in 2 days give it all back. So long-term investors here, if you're holding out for that all-time high, you might want to think about next on the downside as well.
Yeah, Joel, I think you're right. That's a good point to make. You do see Exxon, or you do see Chevron do these climbs, these slow climbs, and then bang, bang, 2 days, and it can give it all back. Not saying it's going to do this time, but there's always that possibility with this stock. And we are coming into resistance. I'm seeing some resistance starting to form at 109.40. 110 should be huge on this, and then you have the 52-week high, a 110. Was it 110.99, Joel? Yeah. 110.99. Yep. So you've got resistance all over the place here. Until this thing get above 111, I would not want to own it at this price. Above 111, then all bets are off for shorting the stock. But not a bad area to try a short, and you only have a couple bucks of risk on something like this for you swing traders.
On in Microsoft over, Dennis. Made a high last week at 31.68, and even though the market continued to rally, Microsoft did not get back up to that level. Closed right off the high on Friday here at 31.50. So we'll be opening up into real good resistance here from 31.50 up to 31.68. Could be getting a little bit heavy here in the Microsoft. Coming back on the downside, you do have Friday's low at 31.24. That's minor support. If in fact that's taken out, you're going to come into that key $31 level, which was the weekly low and also the 5-day low. So I don't think you can really head for the X of this thing until we crack and close under 31. But if you're trying to get out at the top of the move here, this 3150 area might be a good place to put a sell order.
I still like my Apple indicator when I'm trading Microsoft. It still seems to be kind of following Apple. I know Microsoft just slightly off its 52-week high, Apple just slightly off its 52-week high. If Apple's to break out and start making new 52-week highs, I think Microsoft may do the same. 31 remains major support though, so I think pullback still. We'll probably be bought on this, and 31 is still a decent area of support.
Okay, General Electric weekly high at 1950 there, nice round number, just short of the July 22nd high at 1953. A little bit of weak on Friday, settled at 1924 with a 1914 low, so we are opening up into support. GE. Below that, you got that nice even number at $19. Will be good support. So longer term, if you're looking for this thing to go to 20, it might take a while. If you're happy selling it in the 19 handle, well, you'll have another couple opportunity today at least. And below that 19, we're looking at the 6 to 7 day lows at 1870 to 1880.
Looking at if you were looking at like a channelingstocks.com perspective on this, $19 is going to be the low end. I'm starting to see some size form there. I think you'll find at least at a minimum some high frequency trading support in the 19s. And if we go into rally mode for whatever reason, 1950 is still probably going to put a lid on this. So I like that channel. It's starting to form between 19 and 1950. I'd probably be a buyer in the low 19s and a seller in the 1940s.
You getting any nice bids at 19, Dennis?
Yeah, a little bit. Just starting. Nothing jumping, that's, crazy, but it's starting to form. So there's definitely some people that are obviously looking to either cover or to, initiate some longs in that 19 area.
Okay. The only stock I have trading up here in the Big Ten is Procter Gamble, Dennis. A few prints here. I see a trade is 66. We've been talking about this 67 level here. Was size there at that level, Dennis? You could probably confirm whether it's still there or not. But that looks like a huge number. It's the highest the stock's been in a long time. If that's taken out, could be a breakout. Perhaps push up towards the $68 level. But if in fact the 67 can keep a lid on it, Dennis, you'll find mild support at the close, 66.71. And I'd use that Friday's low, that 66.52 area, if I was a longer term investor in this stock and was lucky to get this pop off the news of the cost cutting. I'd have to say I'd have to let this thing go under 66.52.
This 67 area is just nuts with resistance here, Joel. Obviously, we topped out 5 or 6 times in late December, early January. We'll come right to that area right now. I'm seeing incredible size at 66.95 and 67. Just reading the book here, it was over 300,000 shares of 66.95 and 800,000 shares of 67. I don't even know if I've ever seen an offer that big on Procter & Gamble. So there's enormous size here. If it takes that out, you got to think the tractor beam play here all over the place. It starts getting those 80s and 90s, and it tries to suck it towards that size as high frequency guys are leaning on the size and getting on the bid and leaning on the size and getting on the bid. So you got to keep that in mind, the whole tractor beam play here too. It takes out that 67. You could have some crazy movement after, in either direction depending on how fast that 67 size goes. So read that tractor beam play on our educational tab on our website, because that could really come into play on a stock like Procter & Gamble today.
Okay, AT&T double topped last week at the 30.48 to 49 level. Major resistance there. Closed at 30.34 on Friday, so that'd be your initial resistance point. Wednesdays and Thursdays lows 30.20, so opening into mild support here in AT&T. If in fact that does not hold, we'll look back for the $30 level in AT&T.
Yeah, 30.50 is starting to give you some pretty decent resistance. Also seeing some size form there too. So that, we've topped basically 1, 2, 3 times here in the past in this 30.50 area. So that's your major resistance. Pulling back, I'd expect to see some support, the whole number at 30.
Okay, J&J going ex-dividend on Friday and getting back into that major support data. If it one more time, settled at 64.46. That 64.20 area, Dennis, is holding up. I see you did get a straight print there under the $64 level in the pre-market, and I'm not sure if someone just hit the panic button or what. But this is a long-term level. If you guys are new at looking at charts and stuff, this is a definition of support. If in fact this stock breaks the 64.20, 64 even level, it could be in a whole host of trouble. I'd be looking for 61. It may take 3 or 4 months, but
It moves slow, but yeah, Joel, that 64.20 area is key to hold, and we did touch under there. That was just an odd lot print of the 64, so it was a real stray print. It is finding some support here. The 64.32 area here, I'm starting to even see some size, but it's trading 64.38 right now, so just down a little bit. I'd expect your resistance to still be up there in that 65 area if we were ever, go into rally mode. But if it starts to break down, you're right below the 64. Ooh, I don't want to be long this.
yeah, I mean, also going back and look at the IBM consolidation that it had, it finally resolved that issue with the move to the Procter and Gamble had a lot of consolidation. Boom, the news drove it. Big one-day move up there. The same thing as J&J. There's going to be a catalyst in this thing, either to push it down through that 64 and a quarter, or get it back above 66. Moving on to the final component in the Big Ten, Pfizer Corporation. Another channeling stocks.com here, 2102.05, the weekly and Friday lows. Major resistance is coming down from the weekly high, 2143 to the 2135 area. It's just been hanging out around here, 21, Dennis, and really not getting a lift with the overall market.
Yeah, this 21 area has been giving it some support. It says 21 to 2150. That's the trade it's been lately. It's looking heavy to me, though. I think it might eventually take out this 21, so I'm a little bit scared. Even in the pre-market here, it's trading down 14 cents. A lot of their stocks really aren't trading down that much. So it's trading down a little bit more, and if you put it on a fair value calculation. So looking a little weaker today, and if it takes out that 21, then you'd look at that 2080 area. Below 2080, then it's going to open up a bit.
Okay, all right. The S&P's just hanging out in the lower quadrant of its range here, not really taking out that Globex low here, probably in deference to Warren being on it. So we'll keep an eye on this 1355 and a quarter area. I'd expect some resistance if we pop up above that 1360 area. Keep in mind we are trading 4.5 points below Friday's low, which was 1361.50. We're going to take a quick break and get our word in from our sponsors, and we'll be back with our market movers.